Hello everyone, I'm Kalen North, and today we're going to be taking on another level 6 adversary. We're going to be using Vital Strength of the Earth and taking on Brandenburg-Prussia 6. We're going to be playing with Branch and Claw on as well as events, and we're using board D. Now Brandenburg-Prussia is a fast adversary, and so this matchup can be quite difficult. They started with wetlands and mountains, which is, I think, quite good for us actually. We can solve land 5 quite nicely with a Guard the Healing Land. Land 8 is already more or less solved, and if we can build a Sacred Site in land 1, both to target Guard the Healing Land and also provide defense, then land 1 will be solved, and we're really only taking Blight in land 3. That's probably about as good a start as we can get, so I'm just gonna be happy about that for now. I will take a presence from the top track and gain 2 energy on turn 1. We're going to try and do a majors focus strategy, which goes either to 4 or maybe 6 energy before going to 2 card plays. And we're going to see what we can do with that as far as slinging majors in order to clear off the island. Turn 1, I really want to do something, probably withdraw the Fruitful Earth. Just because if we get a Sands Explorer or a Jungle Explorer, or even, even potentially some others, getting that extra Dahan into land 5 potentially in order to do a larger counterattack, or perhaps pulling the Dahan from land 7 into land 8 for a counterattack, is going to be pretty effective at helping us get rid of the invaders. So we're going to start with Draw the Fruitful Earth. We take all the builds. That city in land 3 is a bit of a problem, but we'll get to it later. The bonus town from the escalation I'm going to put into land 2, just because jungles haven't shown up yet. And I think land 2 is a better place to throw it than land 6, because we concentrate the invaders a little bit more. There's already disease there, there's already Dahan there, although we're likely to move that Dahan momentarily, so I guess your mileage may vary on that one a little bit. I am going to draw the Fruitful Earth, pull the Explorer from land 4. I'm not going to pull any other explorers in because I don't anticipate... Well, I'm going to use Guard the Healing Land, actually, so I can afford to pull another explorer in. So I'll pull the Explorer from land 7 and pull 2 Dahan in, rather than just 1. So we'll Guard the Healing Land, hopefully don't get an event that increases damage. And then we're also going to gain a major power this turn, and potentially play that if... excuse me, it's superior to Guard the Healing Land, but more likely save it for next turn. Alright, well, Pillar of Living Flame is okay damage, but it's a bit overcosted and it adds Blight, not what we want. Volcanic Eruption, a little expensive, but Earth could actually potentially play it. We're not going to Threshold it, but lots of fear, lots of damage, adding some Blight is potentially useful. Mists of Oblivion, not so useful. We're not going to be able to Threshold it, and the 1 damage is just not going to be enough. The elements aren't very interesting either. But Sea Monsters, on the other hand, is actually really interesting because it's going to be great for clearing out land 3 eventually, and we might be able to use it on something like land 2 as well. So Sea Monsters is definitely my pick here. I'm going to go ahead and forget Rituals of Destruction. I think it's probably the weakest card we have right now. We could forget Draw the Fruitful Earth from our discard pile, but I'd rather keep the Dahan movement at this point just because we might need it still. Plus, Sea Monsters is such good damage for basically anywhere that is on the coast that it's going to be really helpful to have. As far as what we're going to do for energy versus card plays, I'm going to go to 4 energy. It may be better to go towards 2 card plays at this point, but I really like the extra energy to help afford something like Sea Monsters turn after turn, even if we're not going to be playing it this turn. So I'll play Guard the Healing Land. We're going to guard in land 5, clean up a Blight, defend 4. Population rises. On each board, add a town to a land with a town or explorer. All right, I'm going to stick that in land 2 again. I think that's going to be our best bet. And then Sand Fever Outbreak will get a disease in probably land 7, maybe land 8. And then Offerings of Pattern and Dance will be nice, just get us a little bonus energy. So I'm going to put the disease in land 8, because we don't have any Dahan in there yet, and so even though we have a sacred site, it's kind of a pain if they do go into the mountains again. Plus, we've already seen this, oh, actually, never mind. We should go into the sands, because then that'll stop the city build. That's an obvious choice. Wasn't paying attention to my invader cards. Alright, invaders build in the sands, use up the disease, and now we get a mountains explorer. So, I'm going to go ahead and put the escalation town in land 1, where we've got the Dahan and the sacred site. It's also coastal, which is nice if we need to hit it with sea monsters later on. But we're going to have to come up with some way to deal with land 8 here momentarily. This turn, I want to do something about land 7, probably with defense rather than with damage, because we've got the Dahan there already. So we could guard the healing land there and try and start setting up a sacred site in somewhere like land 5 to handle that land. The other thing we could do is we could ignore land 7, take the Blight, which isn't too bad, we're still on a healthy island with 3 Blight left, and set up a sea monsters in land 3 to clear it. Or sea monsters in land 2 to start picking it down. I think I like the sea monsters plan in land 2 the best, just because then I can get the presence in land 5, gain another major next turn, or reclaim sea monsters and play it again. We can come up with something to do with land 8 later. I don't think it's a big deal right now. And if we lose the Dahan in land 7 and take a Blight, it's really not a huge loss at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and start working my way to 2 card plays at this point. I'll play Sea Monsters, and I'm going to hit land 2 with it, most likely. Alright, new species spread. So, we can transmute. We've got tons of energy. We'd have to pay for it fully with energy, though. We get another beast token, which would be huge, actually, for sea monsters. And, let's see, offerings of pattern and dance will get us an energy. New diseases, we'll probably want to put in land 5, just to stop. We'll lose a Dahan, but we'll stop the town from building, and then we don't even need to put presence there next turn. So we can grow somewhere else and maybe sea monsters in land 3, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and transmute the worst. Just pay 4 energy to do it. Get the fear. Add the beast to land 2, because that's where the sea monsters are going to hit this turn. Add the disease to land 5. Invaders ravaging the sands. Land 8 is going to be a bit of a problem, but we'll get to that shortly. I can actually take the escalation town in land 5. We'll just grow there next turn. And try and draft something or pull something to deal with land 8. Probably try and draft something and play Year of Perfect Stillness if we whiff on the draft. So I'm going to put the town in land 5. Sea monsters in land 2. Or do I want to sea monsters in land 1, actually? Because if we sea monsters in land 2, we take out the city and one of the towns. We're not going to be able to take out everything. If we do it in land 1, we do take out everything, and they don't build their next turn, which is actually pretty relevant. I'm going to go ahead and sea monsters land 1 after all. Really, the target I'd love to hit is land 3, but I think land 1 is going to be a problem if they get another city there, and it's going to be just a lot nicer and cleaner if we can keep it clear for now. We do get less fear that way. That's going to be alright. We'll still hit land 2 in a turn or 2. But we're going to gain another major for now, see what we can get, and try and solve land 8 with it. Alright, Winds of Rust and Atrophy will do a nice job of that, as will Paralyzing Fright. We could take Power Storm, but I'm not a huge fan of it with Earth, at least in single player. Just because we're so limited on card plays that while it could be really nice, it's less likely to be. Fire and Flood is just going to be a little overpriced, and it's slow, which is less appealing. So I think that Paralyzing Fright to skip the action in land 8 entirely is going to be our best bet. Because we don't have any Dahan there, and if we did have Dahan there, I'd go for Winds of Rust and Atrophy, but we'll take the action skip. And then I'm going to go ahead and forget Guard the Healing Land at this point. Blight Cleanup is helpful, but it's just not going to be as useful right now. Year of Perfect Stillness and Paralyzing Fright could be a nice thing to be able to play both of them, but we don't really need to, so I'm actually going to go for 6 energy instead of a second card play this turn, because the Year of Perfect Stillness is a bit redundant when we can't reach land 3 to stop the build there, and land 1 isn't going to build anyway, and we want the Ravage to go through in land 5. So I'm going to go for 6 energy now, play Paralyzing Fright, and hit land 8 with it. Alright, so we're Fortification, so we're going to get an extra build step. Beasts attack. We'll probably want to take out the 2 Explorers in land 3. And Coming of Age, we add Dahan to a Mountain or Sands with Dahan. So that's going to be land 5. So we'll deal 2 damage here. I'm going to take out the Explorers so as to keep the Beast token. And here... we can kill a town, but then we lose the Beast for Paralyzing Fright, or for Sea Monsters. So I'm kind of tempted to just throw the 2 damage on the city and not worry about it. I guess the question is, the Fortification build, if we're forced to do it in the jungles, we get another city. Whereas if we take out the town, we're safe-ish. Safe-ish. I think I want to keep the Beast token around for Sea Monsters, because it's worth a lot of fear and damage, and that 3 damage from Sea Monsters is bigger than the 2 damage we're going to get now. So I'm just going to do 2 there. Alright, invaders don't explore into lands with 2 or more Dahan. Invaders do not build in lands with cities. That's nice. That'll stop the build in land 3. And jungles and wetlands explore. Alright, we get a Fortification build. I'm going to choose to do it in the mountains because we're skipping everything in land 8 and land 5 is empty. So rather than get a city in land 7, we just get nothing. Alright, wetlands are going to Ravage. We don't really have a good answer to that because we can't get there with Paralyzing Fright. We could get there with Year of Perfect Stillness. So I'm going to go ahead and Reclaim at this point. Get my second card play, and I'm going to grow into land 3. So that I can Year of Perfect Stillness there. I'm not too worried about the build in land 6 or land 2, and we didn't actually get anything in land 1. So we should be alright just growing to land 3 and using Year of Perfect Stillness and Sea Monsters this turn. So Year of Perfect Stillness to freeze land 3. Stops the Ravage, stops the build. Putting down roots. We get to turn an Explorer into a town. So we're going to do that in land 8, where it doesn't matter that much. Stricken isn't going to do anything this turn. And Drive Off the Interlopers is also not going to do anything this turn. So we'll just get a town in land 8. Alright. And they explore in the mountains and jungles. So land 8 is going to still be a bit of a problem there. Sea Monsters this turn, I think I want to use on land 2. Just because, well, we can fully clear land 3 is the nice thing about doing it there. If we do it in land 2, we can potentially clear next turn if we can get the right power. Because otherwise we're going to get Ravage followed by Build in land 2, which wouldn't be the worst thing, because we do have Sea Monsters, and we could just skip it with Paralyzing Fright. So I think I'm gonna clear land 3. That gets us to Terror 2. And how are we doing on Invader cards? We need to finish this up very quickly. But Paralyzing Fright on land 2 this turn is going to be pretty useful. We'll put a second presence in land 6 to prevent the Ravage from hurting us too much. But I think what we need to do is gain another gain another major power to see if we can get anything worth using on land 8. So I'm going to gain a major. All right, Vigor of the Breaking Dawn is amazing usually. Not so much with where we've got the Dahan right now. We could get some Dahan into land 8 with Draw the Fruitful Earth, but that's not going to be enough to do a ton of damage there. Terrifying Nightmares, we could push some of the stuff in land 8 out of land 8 in order to cause it to die in the Ravage in land 1, for example. Infinite Vitality and Grant Hatred Ravenous Form just aren't going to do enough for us right now. We don't have Strife, we don't have enough Blight for Grant Hatred, and Infinite Vitality is just going to stall us out and we're going to lose to time. So I think that Terrifying Nightmares is my pick here. I'd really rather have Vigor if I could find some way to use it, but I don't think we're going to be able to threshold it very easily. And we're not going to be able to get the Dahan where we need them to be very easily. So I'm going to take Terrifying Nightmares. I'm going to forget Draw the Fruitful Earth. I'm going to add a Presence. I'm going to go for the top track here because I don't think getting to 3 card plays is going to help us that much. And we might run out of energy if we're not careful. So Paralyzing Fright, Terrifying Nightmares. I want a Parafright in land 2. Stop the Ravage, stop the build. And then Terrifying Nightmares I could use in land 8, or I could use it in land 6. I kind of prefer... well, because either one of them gets another city. But we already set up the defense in land 6 such that we don't care that much. So I kind of want to throw things from land 8 into land 1 so they die in the Ravage. So I'm going to go ahead and push 2 towns into land 1 and 2 explorers into land 7. Alright, we are at Terror 2, I believe, so Destroy the Unnatural is going to screw us over somewhat this turn. Prey on the Unwary will kill some explorers, and Rouse the Spirits will not do anything. We do have 4 fear cards, though, so that should help. Alright, we skip the next normal build, that's really handy. Each player chooses a different land with Dahan. Invaders take 1 damage per Dahan there. Alright, I'm going to use that in land 1. Kill the town. And we get Defend 2 in all coastal lands, so that's going to save our bacon. The only question is, do we want to actually gather a explorer or town somewhere? And I think we want to gather the explorer from land 5 into land 2. Just stop that build entirely. We add a Strife in a land with Dahan, which we only have the 1 choice, and it works great. Oh, and land 6 blights. Whoops. That's fine. So we have this turn to win. There's no Ravage this turn, so we just need to hit them as hard as we can. So I'm going to reclaim cards. I'm going to grow into land 6, I guess, get that Sacred Site set up. And then we don't have a way to deal with land 8. We're going to use Sea Monsters for land 2, and literally every land is going to build this turn. So land 6 is going to build a city, and that's a problem. Land 7 is going to build a city, and that's a problem. So I think what we want to do is play Sea Monsters to try and take out land 2. Or take out the 2 cities in land 2. And we want to play... I'm leaning towards Paralyzing Fright to try and deal with land 7. But on the other hand, we could also just Terrifying Nightmares. How are we doing on Fear? We're 6 away from Terror 3. So neither of these is going to get us all the way there. Because we're not going to threshold it. As such, I think Terrifying Nightmares is going to be slightly better here. Keep Paralyzing Fright in hand for next turn. You know, I say that, but that's wrong. No, Paralyzing Fright's better here. So we're going to play Paralyzing Fright. We're going to stop a city build. We'll stop the city build in land 7, I think, because we don't have a sacred site there. And we get rising interest in the island. All right, let's weave lies. That's going to be, I think, stronger by far here. Because we get to terror 3 all of a sudden, and the extra damage doesn't matter because there's no ravage this turn. Or, oh, that'll trigger next turn, but that's okay. So I'm going to discard Terrifying Nightmares, and I'm going to pay an energy. We get to add a wilds. I'll put the wilds in land 5, just because there's nothing there yet. And we get to... oh, we get to remove a city from the land with a sacred site. So land 8 clears. Beautiful. Jungles and Sands explore, and we need to win in the fast of next turn. So we're going to sea monsters, land 2. Take out the cities. Which gets us how close to victory? Oh, we can just win on fear. All right, let's reclaim cards. Throw a presence in land 3, I guess. And play Paralyzing Fright and Terrifying Nightmares. Earth is apparently a fear spirit. So we'll Paralyzing Fright in land 6. Not that it matters. And we immediately win. So that's Vital Strength of the Earth against Brandenburg-Prussia 6. I would have preferred to show you not a terror victory there. I think that they're capable of it, but this is certainly one of the ways that it goes sometimes when you get a card like Paralyzing Fright or Sea Monsters. We did go right up to the edge on time. That can always be an issue, even at lower levels of Brandenburg-Prussia. But overall, I think that generally went reasonably well. Thanks for watching. If you're interested, join me on Discord or comment below. And thanks again. 62, not the greatest. Take care, everyone.